ver si podía venir. A Andy le conocéis todos, o sea que... Y bueno.
Una taza de café oficial I Love New York. O como decimos coffee, no café, coffee, New York. Look at this. Who packed this? Bagels. Okay, horneados, recién horneados. Un Logic coin. Gracias, Víctor y Manolo, y bienvenidos en la familia Logic.
Un abrazo a todos.
Finalmente quiero agradecerles a todos. Gracias por ser parte de Logic. Estoy muy agradecido por tu amistad. Esta ha sido la parte más satisfactoria de mi carrera y ha enriquecido mi vida. Yahi masacrado bastante tu hermoso lenguaje. So, I turn to my...
Cervantes está emocionado en este momento.
Thank you. Gracias, Mimi. Clean up my mess.
Okay, that's perfect.
Okay, and now I hand this over to my friend Gonzalo. So I'm a flame artist. I've been a flame artist for 27 years, and for 2 years I've worked for myself as a freelancer.
Okay, que ha sido artista freelance de 27 años y en los últimos 2 años está de freelance.
So I wanted to show you today some techniques for stabilization. Okay?
Okay, que la charla de principalmente va a ser sobre técnicas de estabilización.
And I call this stabilizing your way to happiness.
Estabilización para una vida feliz.
So I found running my own business that anything I can do to make myself more efficient means I make more profit.
Todo lo que él puede hacer para ser más eficiente, esto te hace más productivo.
Yeah, and there's never enough time and never enough money.
Nunca hay suficiente dinero y nunca hay suficiente tiempo.
So, stabilization. So, I have a few techniques to show. The first one was from advertisement that I did for Google.
Okay, es un spot que ha hecho para Google y es un primer ejemplo.
And when I bid the job, when I did the estimate, the only work they asked me to do were 2 phone screens.
Okay, que lo único que le enviaron para empezar el trabajo fue 2 capturas de pantalla del teléfono.
And then I get a phone call that there's a panico.
Yeah. Luego una llamada de teléfono que entra en pánico.
So the client called and said, in the advertisement, there are 2 brothers and they are in competition. And so here you can see they did their homework in school and their competition with the grades.
Okay, que es el spot va de 2 hermanos que hacen una competición y ese es el primero.
So I see the shot, and what they tell me is that they can't read his name. Okay? This is now very important now. It's more important than the phone, it's more important than anything. They cannot read his name.
Lo primero era que no se leía el nombre del que había hecho.
So I look at the shot, and the camera is moving, the paper is moving, it's all handheld. Right?
Cuando mira el plano, ve que la cámara se mueve, que el papel se mueve y él dice, me pego un tiro.
And if there's one thing that's true, is the client always change their mind.
Y que el cliente siempre cambia de idea.
Okay, good. So I said to myself, if I stabilize the paper, I can either track the name to the paper or I can stabilize the paper and then put a new name on there, right?
Okay, que tiene 2 opciones, una o poner el nombre o estabilizar el papel para poder cambiar.
If I stabilize, I can make changes easily.
Okay. Si lo tiene estabilizado, luego puede hacer cambios más simples.
Okay. So I use the planar tracking.
Uso un planar tracking.
I'm doing my best.
Yes, planar tracking is great.
Good. There we go. Okay. And pick the area. And I get a good track, right? And so the next thing that I did was attach the tracking data and invert. Axis, invert. Whoops. And what I get is the paper is stable.
Okay,
Well,
bueno, se entiende. Lo que
that's
ha
the
hecho es
client on the phone right now with
lo que
more
ha
things.
hecho es un plan de tracking y luego invertir el axis para tener el papel estabilizado.
Okay. So now that it's stable, I needed to make an element for the signature, for the name, right?
Okay, luego hace y genera el asset para cambiar el nombre.
So I reframe the name so it's front and center, and then I just went in and traced over the name.
Okay, bueno, se entiende.
Okay. And then, wow. One second, sorry. Yes, okay. And then I also, I picked a color from the paper. So I picked this color right here as the fill. And some of this is pre-done. So you can see here that this is the name just on top of itself.
Lo que hace es limpiar la imagen
Right.
con el mismo color de papel y luego poner la imagen encima.
And then I also patched there we go. I patched from the area above down to erase the name that was there.
Okay.
Okay,
Hace un front source.
front source.
He is the master of front source. Is Javi. Javi Camara is the master of front source.
Ah, bueno.
Yes.
So I ended up with this, right?
Okay.
And if I reintroduce the motion,
Okay. Y ahora tiene que revertir y volver a desestabilizar el plan.
and do emoji,
Okay, and an emoji.
thank you, Apple,
Okay.
right? Then you get, oops, hold on, sorry. Ooh, this is not my normal keyboard. I
Yeah.
normally use that keyboard.
Yeah.
So I'm trying. One second. Yes. So there's the name. And I reintroduce the motion, and you get, you're all done.
Okay. Lo que hace es invertir el desestabilizado y volver a aplicarlo.
So, when my client called, right, I did the work. Let me just prepare one thing for you. Yes. There we go. Right, so I did the work, and I sent it to the client, and the client called. They're very happy. Thank you. They're very happy.
Okay, que estaban todos contentos con el resultado,
But then they changed their mind.
pero luego cambiaron de idea.
Okay, and they call the next day, and they say, can we take the name and move it to the middle of the page and make it even bigger?
Okay. Podemos reposicionar el nombre y hacerlo incluso más grande, me han pedido.
Right. So when they called, I was in the jacuzzi.
Ya.
Yes.
No sé si traducir esto, pero
Yes.
que estaban en el jacuzzi cuando se mueren.
So I turned the jacuzzi off so it's quiet, and I say, yes, no problem. And they say, can you do that in one day? Do you think you can do that in one day?
Yeah.
And I said, yes, I think I can do that in one day because I stabilized first.
Ya. Ok, le preguntaron si podía hacerlo en un día la rectificación, él dijo que sí, porque él ya había estabilizado el plan.
Yes. Hold on. There we go. Because I stabilized first, it was just a matter of moving the name from up here to down here.
Como se había
Make it a little
estabilizado, simplemente la reposición en un solo keyframe.
And so it takes 10 minutes, done.
Okay,
I get paid for one day.
okay.
and all is
Y
good,
bueno, que solo en 10 minutos resolvió el tema, pero ha cobrado un día entero.
right?
Envidia que le tendremos
Yes,
a nosotros, no va a pasar.
but because
That's never going to happen to us.
no, never. Well, but the lesson to take away is if you do the work at the beginning
Yeah.
to be better prepared for changes, then the changes become more economical.
Okay. La gran enseñanza de esto es que si tú ya preparas el plan pensando en los posibles cambios posteriores, pues luego tu vida va a ser muchísimo más simple.
Great. But this is a very simple example, right? It's just stabilize and move a name.
Vamos, que
Okay.
esto es un ejemplo bastante simple y era un poco para introducir la charla.
So I want to show you something a little more complicated.
Ahora, algo más complicado.
Okay, so two things. The first is I had another project where the client had, they wanted to change the label.
Que quieren cambiar la etiqueta del bote.
Okay, the only thing they wanted to change was to turn the label so it's facing camera.
Solo lo único que quieren es girar el bote para que la etiqueta esté frente a cámara. Bueno, por lo que...
So I looked and I was like, oh, object tracking
Ya.
in 3D. Okay,
Object tracking en 3D en el Flame, pues
no good.
no es una buena opción inicial.
So I use the same technique. I use a planar track on the label and stabilize.
Utilizo la misma técnica con un planar track a través del Gmask y para estabilizar la etiqueta.
And that removes 95% of the motion. There's still a little bit of motion like this, okay?
Y luego elimino un porcentaje del movimiento de...
But because the shot is stabilized, I had two choices, right? I looked at the shot and I saw the highlights.
Cuando vio el spot y vio los highlights en
And
medio de la etiqueta,
I knew I was going to have to recreate the highlights. And so I could do that in 3D, in action. But if I stabilize the shot, right, then I can just go into Paint.
okay. Al haber estabilizado, pues lo que hace es, digamos, entrar en un Paint para tocar el estabilizador.
And go to Sequence.
Y aplicarlo a toda la secuencia, porque como ya tiene el plano estabilizado, en principio con un solo frame que pintes debería funcionar.
And then just kind of drag down like this.
Y utiliza el drag
Okay.
para clonar.
And because this is stabilized on sequence, if I scrub through,
Claro,
I get all the lighting for free.
ya. Esto respeta y reproduce todas las altas luces, pero de manera gratuita porque ya tienen plano estabilizado.
And this is I pre-render all of everything.
Ya,
And so I end up with a clean bottle,
ya.
which is good.
Una botella limpia,
Okay.
un bote limpio.
And then I went into action and I loaded in a cylinder.
Ok. Luego entra en Action y importa un cilindro de FBX o objeto 3D.
And I take the cylinder and then I go, you can see the keyframes, I go 1 frame, 2 frame, and make small adjustments.
Ok, hace pequeños ajustes para que el 3D del frame mache con el bote original. A pesar de que lo tiene estabilizado, tiene que hacer esos pequeños ajustes
To get the perspective.
para la perspectiva.
Okay, and then back to okay, and then I can take the label. It's just a texture, so I can put the label wherever.
Okay.
It
Luego
needs
tiene
to
la,
go.
textura, tiene la etiqueta como textura aplicada al cilindro para ubicarla donde quiere.
Like, I thought about doing this with just extended by cubic, but again, I was thinking the client will change their mind and they'll want to move the label here and move the label there, and if I do this extended by cubic, I'll have to start from scratch.
Ok, otra vez él se anticipa los posibles cambios que pueda tener, entonces en vez de aplicarlo con un extender bicúbico, que por ahí sería otra opción, él prefiere hacerlo con un objeto 3D para poder tener más control por futuros cambios que pudieran pasar.
So I thought this way I have more flexibility. And then the same technique, I invert the stabilization and you have a new bottle.
Okay. La misma técnica que en la anterior, lo que hace es volver a invertir el estabilizado para recuperar el mismo movimiento.
Yeah, I had 10 shots of this, and so with this technique, I could do shot after shot after shot after shot
Con la misma
quickly.
técnica he hecho 10 diferentes planos.
And because I'm not good at object tracking.
Porque él no es un buen traqueador de objetos, like any flame artist.
Right.
Okay, como todos nosotros que traquear un objeto en flame siempre es un dolor de huevos. No dijo de huevos, pero...
Okay. Any questions?
¿Alguna pregunta?
Okay. Next. Who use motion vectors?
¿Quién usa motion vectors?
Okay, good.
Todos.
Who loves motion vectors?
¿Quién ama los motion vectors?
Okay, good. Who hates motion vectors?
Yo no.
Odio motion vectors. Okay, so I was doing a series of shots in 8K.
Ha hecho una serie de planos en 8K
for earrings, for jewelry.
Para auriculares, audífonos.
So when I did the estimate, my estimate was just to do the retouch and cleanup on the jewelry.
For pendientes, no auriculares. Sorry.
Yeah. So the client sends me the footage, and I look at this, and there's the earrings. The earrings are beautiful. I wouldn't change anything. But then I look at her, and I said to the client, do you want me to do any cleanup on her? And they said, well, we don't have any money for that.
Okay, que él vio los pendientes, que los veía perfecto, pero cuando vio la piel de la chica dijo si querían hacer algún retoque y el cliente dice que no tenían dinero para eso.
That means they have some money, okay? Not no money. They have poquito dinero.
Muy poquito.
Muy poquito, always, right?
Always.
So, and this of course is all in 8K. So I looked at this and I said, how can I do this efficiently so I can still make money and not lose money on this? So I looked at the shot, right? And so in this shot here, this woman, she turns her head and she moves through the light.
Bueno, que él, al mirar el plano, él quería ganar algo de dinero, entonces hacer alguna propuesta y mira el plano y ve que gira y que tiene cambios de luz.
Okay. So the way that I usually work with motion vectors is first always do a crop, like a region of interest. Okay.
Cuando empieza a trabajar con motion vector siempre genera una región de interés para focalizarse en ella.
So 8K becomes 3K. All right.
Al cual los 8K los tradujo a 3K.
And so then I'll usually what I do is I find a frame in the middle of the move.
Okay.
Okay.
Selecciono el fotograma del medio del movimiento.
And I go into Paint and I clone each individual blemish.
Okay, y hace un restore de los granos y limpiando.
And then use the motion vectors to track that frame through.
Okay, y utiliza el motion vector para traquear ese.
Motion vectors. Damn you, motion vectors. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Uh-oh. Oh, hidden.
They hide it.
Okay, but because the light changes,
Claro. Como la luz cambia, evidentemente el paint
Right.
no se ve afectado.
the frame in the middle is no good at the beginning and is no good at the end.
Okay. Lo normal que el color del frame del medio no es bueno para el color del comienzo ni es bueno para el color del final.
So someone suggested to me, have you ever used motion vectors for stabilizing? And I said, no, that's stupid, because it's destructive, right? A motion vector can warp an image, and if something is occluded, you can't get it back, right?
Entonces alguien le sugirió que porque utilizaba motion vector para estabilizar, pero él dijo que no, que el motion vector es destructivo porque te va al final estirando, warpeando la imagen de hacia un lado y hacia el otro.
But I said, I have an open mind, I said I would try it, right?
Pero dijo, lo voy a intentar.
Okay. So, right here, right? In motion vectors, there's a stabilize button. This is the magic button.
Okay, que el botón mágico del motion vector es el stabilize button.
Right? So I stabilize the motion vector and I get this.
Entonces, al estabilizar el motion vector, tiene los distintos fotogramas estabilizados con los cambios de luz pertinentes.
Okay? So she's not moving. And so just like with the bottle, I can do one paint on the sequence and then done.
Okay. Entonces, así como hizo con el bote de crema, en este caso haría lo mismo, con solo retocando un frame se podría aplicar a todo.
So I did the paint and pre-render the paint.
The paint, ¿sí? Hizo el paint, está pre-rendeado por tema de agilidad.
And then apply the motion vectors to the thing I painted. So there's no occlusion, right?
Okay.
So I used motion vector stabilize, original, and then motion vector track only what I painted.
Okay. Luego lo que hizo pues es revertir el estabilizado del motion vector aplicándolo al frame que había pintado. Bueno, a la secuencia de frames, porque al final de cuentas lo tenía estabilizado.
Okay? And so it's not perfect,
No es perfecto, pero
but